right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So today we are actually looking at the Stricklands here in Kansas City, Kansas. Joe Strickland. He owned a daycare center, and I used to go there. And years later, I found out his name was actually Harold and not Joe. Joe was his middle name, but everyone called him Joe. And so, let's see. This is Joe Strickland, or Harold Joseph Strickland. And Mr. Strickland, let's see, his auntie married my, Bothra, married my first cousin 3 times removed. And so with that made me interested in the Stricklands. So I was looking at that Strickland and I was wondering, is that the same Strickland from Wyandotte County? Earlier last year, Mr. Strickland shared with me that he knew my family and they all came from Argentina. And so I was pretty intrigued because, like I said, we are all cousins in real life. One way or another, we're all related. We're all cousins. And so I just wanted to figure out that connection and just kind of see how he fits into my tree. And lo and behold, he actually has a family member that married my family member, which is super cool. So now we have common cousins, but I didn't find any children between them. So I had worked at Peppermint Nursery, right out of high school, maybe 2000. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I worked at Peppermint Nursery right out of high school, and I had a friend that was Joe Strickland's cousin. And so we never discussed how they were cousins, but today I was just trying to connect them. So I know, like I said, there's Harold, or Mr. Strickland, and his sister married my first cousin 3 times removed. So looking back at her tree, I know that they were cousins. And this is kind of where I started. I started with Walter because a lot of times when there's a relative that passed, it's a lot easier to find them because they have death records. You can find their death certificate, or they tell you their parents. A lot of times they're older. So if they're born in 1930s, you have at least the 1940 census and you have at least the 1950 census. So you have at least 2 censuses that will give you their parents' name and their siblings' name. And so with him, I found the 1940 census, and I should be able to find the 1950 census, which is there. Said the mother is Carrie, and the mother up there is Carrie, so that is perfect. We are talking about the same person. Again, I don't like the way that the new ancestry, has put the records over to the right of the screen. It used to be it used to have it where you can see, I guess you still can see who's in the house, but I'm a diehard and it used to look like this. And so I kind of like it back when it looks like this. So let's see, there's Walter, 1950. He was a kitchen helper. And let's see, he was a son. He has a brother named Leonard. And Carrie's mother, which is important to know, was Sarah Pearson. So if she's not already on there, so that's Carrie's mother, because Carrie is the head, and everything is always relation to the head of the household. So we always want to identify who is the head. So in this case, Carrie is the head, Walter is the son, and Sarah is the mother of Carrie. So let's go ahead and add that record. We know that that's that. We're still trying to find Carrie's maiden name. Maiden names are very important. Okay, so we have a Donald Strickland and we have a Leonard Strickland. Two different names. Leonard could be his middle name. Leonard could be his first name. And because I don't know exactly, I always just put not a match. And so we are going to create a new person and press select. Now it's Leonard and Leonard. If in the case that Donald and Leonard are the same person, then we can merge duplicates later. So we're going to go ahead and save that to the tree. And let's see. Remember we had Sarah Pearson as her mother. Let's see if it says that here. Okay, there's Peter Pearson. It's a death certificate of Carrie Strickland, her mother's maiden name. So now we have a couple maiden names going on. So we're going to go ahead and grab this death certificate. Like I said, I like to view records page. It just makes life easier. If you click on this URL, it will take you to, it's going to ask you, do you want to leave outside of Ancestry? And it will create another tab. Most of the time it takes you to that exact death certificate. This time it didn't. Sometimes if you click on the picture, there it is. Okay, and so we have Peter Pearson as her father, Sarah Bourne as her mother and maiden name, and the informant. I always look for the informant. That's the person who informed, and that's Walter Strickland, which would be her son. Yes, that's her son. So her son, and she died of some kind of cardio disease, hypertensive cardio disease. I think that's about right. Okay. And what you can actually do, you can download this. And so I like to, you click on the little wrench next to the side and click download. And it will download to your screen. And so I click out of this. You could have clicked yes, but I click yes right here. And I'm going to click yes. So that's Carrie, 1905. We probably could have found a birth date on her death certificate. So we know that's Pearson. We're going to save her father and her mother. And we're going to go to edit and just type in Pearson. I know that on the site with women it says put in their maiden name, but if in that case you don't know their maiden name, I always put their married name. Then when I do find their maiden name, I put their maiden name and their married name, just to show records of how many times a person got married. And it's easier to keep track of, and Ancestry does a great job at locating the maiden name, the married name, the other married name, and the other married name. So you always want to just keep track of all the names that the woman may have had. And sometimes men too, when their mothers get married, they will give the children their new husband's last name. No formal adoption. It's just they would give the children their new last name. Okay, so we wanted to see if that birth certificate had her actual birthday on it. And let's see. On that birth certificate, it had, here it is, her date of birth, March 14th, 05. Perfect. So because we don't have that, we can click up here on her name. We're going to go over to edit, quick edit. And now we have her birthday. So that's March 14th, 1905, which is perfect. Now the system will find more records because we have dates. Dates are super important. Okay, so because we have the father and we have the mother, their last name is Pearson. So we know we're going to go back to quick edit. We know that her maiden name was Pearson. Arson. And we do that to identify the parents, which we already have the parents. And this is perfect. So that was a 2 from 1, and we started with Walter. And this is how you go into the rabbit's hole of looking for records. Okay, so let's go back to Walter, because I was trying to... Here, let's go see what we built so far. All right. So Ancestry recently kind of did these little tabs. I still don't like them, but I'm used to them now. So let's see. There's 5 siblings there, and you can see his children. Let's see. So, oh wow, they had all boys. All boys. Okay, so there's Walter and Habert. Okay, so I'm gonna close this tab. So we're looking to connect. We know that they are cousins, but how? I think that Augusta and Hobart must have been, or Habert must have been brothers. That's 1899. That's 1863. That's a pretty big gap. But the only other way they could have been cousins and remained Strickland cousins, Augustus would have had to have kids, and I don't have any kids located for him. So I am going to go back and let's see what we can find out about Habert. I'm going to go to search because there are no leaves. And let's see what we find. Let's see, we have a 1930 census, and it says Negro, Wyandotte County. These are the things I look for just to make sure that I have somewhat of the right person. So 1930 census, let's see, he was 30. He was already married, so he was on his own. I am looking for his parents, but since I'm here, I am going to go ahead and save this census. Let's see. Yep. And a lot of times I look for the month. This particular census don't have the month next to it. Oh, and here we go again. So there's that Leonard and Donald. So I'm almost thinking that is the same person, only because it's right between a Joseph, which is the same person, and it's right before a Kenneth, which is the same person. So a lot of times, and it's the same year. So this is what it means, that it is the same person. However, I don't know if it's Donald Leonard or Leonard Donald, but I'm going to go with Donald Leonard, which is probably Leonard Donald, because everybody else is going by first names and they're not using nicknames per se on this one. Also notice the spelling is Hobart, B-A-R-T, or Hobart, B-E-R-T. And, okay, so it says junior here. And so we're going to go and put senior here, because if that's a junior, then, well, that's a senior. Let's go there. Oh, let's see. Come on. All right. So now we still need to figure out his parents. So this is 1899. We should be able to get at least a 1900s, 1910 census. For whatever reason, it's not populating. And so we have to go out and actually grab the census. So here we go. So relation to the head, this is perfect. So he is the son. And his mother's name is Annie Blanks. Okay. Wyandotte County. He's a black son. This would be it. Let's see. But there is no father. I wonder what happened to her dad. Okay, so sometimes when I'm trying to figure out what happened to the dad, she could be a widow. It looks like she's married. But that is not a problem. I'm just gonna go back one because it will take me back to Hobart. She's married, but the husband could have been at work at the time of the census taker, so that is not a big deal. I will almost assume that her last name is Strickland, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. And we have Leela, or it could be Layla, and a Ben Strickland. Let's see, in the other tab, we are looking for, we're looking for Augusta. We're trying to connect Augusta to this tree that we have over here. Okay, let's go back and search on Ancestry on the actual site. And let's see if we can find a 19. So it shows what we have already. So this is already in a tree. We have 1920, we have 30, we have 40. So we should be able to find 50, 10, 1900s maybe. But he was born in 1899 for remembrance, and so he wouldn't be in any census previous to that. So we're only looking for maybe 1910, 1900s. Let's see. I do not find him in the census. So a lot of times you shouldn't have to scroll down this far because it could be a name change that's not triggering the 1910 census. And so here we are, Annie Blanks. So we do know that his mother's Annie Blanks, and this is him. So now we have a middle name. These are the World War I draft cards, and to me these are golden because that means they filled them out themselves. So if you click on it, you can kind of read their handwriting. I love their handwriting. So it's Hobart, B-A-R-T, and because he wrote that himself, that is who I'm going to go with. And it says the nearest relative is Annie Blanks, which is we've identified as his mother. He signed it Hobart William Strickland, and he's 20 at the time, November 12th, 1897. I'm not sure if we had a birthday, but if not, we do now, and that's great. We did not. So birthday is November. So if we just save this record, it will reflect that. So if we click this, it takes the changes of that. So we know it has a W. If we click this, it does change it to William Strickland. However, it left off the senior because it didn't have senior on his card. Well, at the time of 20, he probably wasn't a senior yet. So there's birthday. And there's Wyandotte County. Perfect. And we're going to save that. So I was hoping that once we save that, it would generate the census. But I did see another one. Let's see. It had another one with his mother's name on it. Okay, so maybe that was the same record. And once you save a record, it takes away, there it is, 1910. Perfect. It says Anna is his mother. No, because it has Carrie as his mother here. Wait. I'm sorry. Go back. 1910. Okay. So we have father's name is John, mother's name is Anna. And then right here, it does say Annie. And so we do know that that is the correct person. And so as you've seen previously, this 1910 was not on our search list because once we identified a birthday and a little bit more details, a little bit more records, that's when it populated. So sometimes you just have to keep going and it will. So now we know the head of house is John, which is his father. His mother is Anna. We have Ben, Hobart, Lulu, and Layla. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to save that. Now we can have a dad. So that's John. He was born in 1862. Wow. Okay. So there's Anna Strickland. So that's who she was. I'm going to type in Anna just because it shows it on the record. And I'm going to type Annie in parentheses. We know her maiden name is Blanks. And I didn't know for sure if they were married. But now I see that they're married. Strickland. Okay, awesome. So now I see that they're married. Now birthdays change. Birthdays used to always throw me off. But that's nothing to be super concerned about. Is give or take 10 years. And places change also. So this one says that she's from Louisiana. This one says Missouri. You can save Missouri as an alternate. And it will still keep Louisiana, but it will show Missouri as an alternate, as if it will show that in one of the records it did have another state. And the same with the birth years. It's give or take 10 years. It's right shy of 10 years, so I'm not really going to worry about the 10-year difference. Like I said, birthdays change. Sometimes they know their birthday, sometimes they don't. And the same here. This is 1903. It's off what 7 years. Still not too bad, but the names are the same, the location is the same, and that's the important part. And so we do know that that is the same person. We're going to add Lulu because in what is this? This is the 1910 census. She wasn't on that census. All right. And we are going to save to tree. Now we have parents. And I want to know, now that we have Hobart's parents, we still have 9 hints to process. But I want to know, since this is a male Strickland, I want to know, does John have any brothers? But it's saying this John is from Missouri. Oh, he was born in Georgia. 1900 census. He already has a spouse, so this probably won't show his parents. You can scroll down and go to view records page. It helps. And so let's see, there's August of 65, which we do not have a month there. All right, usual suspects. It looks like a George was added. I don't remember George, but you can look over here at the children and see, and no, there was not a George. So because this is a 1900 census, by the time the other census came out, he was probably already in the military, or he moved out of the house for whatever reason. And it looks like we have a new one, maybe Robert. I don't think he was there either. Okay, so month 1865, we have an August. That's 3 years. That's fine to replace it with that. Missouri or Georgia? I think I'm going to do Georgia, because a lot of people weren't from Missouri, but he could have been. But I keep seeing Georgia, so I think I'm going to stay with Georgia until maybe we find his war record, and then we'll make that decision then. Okay, so the new kid is George, and now it already pulls over the month. So we have a month. We have Luli, 1894. Seemed like we already had, maybe that was Lula and Layla. Maybe they're just like the L names. Let's see, so there's Sally. Okay, here we go. So there's a Robert, 1897. And then there's a, it seems like the birthday is the same, but the names are so far off, and he already has a middle name. So we are going to say it's not a match. I'm going to look and see if there was a Robert. Okay, so these are his dad's siblings. No. Spouse. Nope, these are still his children. Okay. So Robert's a new guy. And then there's Ben. So there's Benjamin. Excuse me. They called him Ben. I'm going to take the full name because I like whole names. Then there's a month. So now we know what month he's born in. And I'm just going to go back up and verify that I added a month to everyone. Because it looks like these had months. Oh, I did not. So she was born in April and August. Okay, perfect. A lot of times you do want to read the census, spend time with the census, get familiar with it, and make sure you didn't leave out anything. Sometimes when you leave out just a little bit of information, it can be the difference of researching more or twice something that you could have found a long time ago, but you just wasn't paying attention. And so here we go. This is his Find a Grave. And Find a Grave is a really great website that helps with bios. And sometimes you can find the obituary, the actual verbatim obituary that a family has written. So it will ask you, does it have a bio? And if they say no, that means there's nothing on there. But you can click on the link. And there's nothing there, but it will say who the children are. And a lot of times it'll tell you where they're buried at. And you can click on that and just find more information about this cemetery. If you're a cemetery goer, that's where you would go. So I am done with that. And there's no bio, so there's nothing to add there. There is a 1900 census off to the side. So these are suggested records. And a lot of times they will add suggested records, but we already looked at the 1900 census. And we know that because it has it up here. It says that it's already saved to our tree. We already exported all the data off of there. So I'm just going to go back and press save. Okay, so now we have August 1865. They have August 1865, but they have a date. So I'm going to take that date. And there is no place. So I'm going to keep Georgia. They do have a C. We don't. So I am going to take that C. And what's new is now we have a death date and we have a burial location. So we're going to save that to our tree. And we still do not know John's parents. But being born in 1865, after or prior 1865 is mostly slave territory. I really don't dabble into slave territory at this time, but I will. So a lot of my records, if they weren't heavily documented, Native Americans are heavily documented. A lot of my records, they pretty much stop at 1865. And so I make connections from 1865 in the lineage going down. And it doesn't look like we have found how they are cousins. Well, let's go to Augusta. He has a leaf. Let's see what says Augusta and Carrie. So we're going to go there and we're going to save it. This is the, it was a directory. Let's see. Oh, it says ancestry member trees. So this is trees that other people have. And there is a user that has this guy in the tree. They also do not have a mother and a father. But it looks like they also do have the same children as we have. And so when I find usernames, because I've taken the DNA, I will go through and see if they are a DNA match to me. Well, it says this user is either not a DNA match or has not taken the test. So, unfortunately, I can never tell if, one or the other. It doesn't specify, hey, they taken the test, but they're not a match. I wish Ancestry would come out with something like that. But they are in Kansas. More than likely, it's Kansas City, Kansas. Last day active was a couple days ago. So, what that means to me in the Ancestry community is if I email this guy or message him, he will more than likely respond because he was active 2 to 6 days ago. Some places or some profiles, I'm sorry, it will say a year, 6 months, 3 to 11 months, and more than likely they are not going to respond to you. Okay, so I just checked my parents and my mother's sister. They are not a match. Oh, but what I did find is in my paternal tree, she is related to the Stricklands. So that would be where that DNA match would be. That is my reason for chase on this one. Not only, like I said, we're all cousins. 6 degrees of separation is real. My paternal grandmother has Stricklands on her side. And so because I have Stricklands on my maternal side, there's a chance that these are the same Stricklands or they're related somewhere, somehow. But that's kind of what I do. I figure out how we are related. So I can't quite connect these trees yet. Because they are cousins and they are male cousins, it's something to do here. But okay, so let's see. Let's go to Augusta. Another search we can find if we feel like we're coming to a dead end. They had found in ancestry trees. That means you can browse more like this. So somebody else is looking for Augusta. And this is that tree we just looked at. And if you browse more like this, you can see. Again, that's that tree we just looked at. The Rich family, that's my tree. The Nilsson family. King Bone. Let's go to the Nilsson family and see. Yeah, see, their last name is Strickler. A lot of time it doesn't, the spelling don't necessarily matter, but it looks like they are also in another part of town. I mean, besides the obvious, but it looks like they are in another part of town. So they're not in this vicinity. So we are going to okay. Let's see, 1900, 1910, 1920, 30. 1940, we should be able to get 1940. And so the reason I would keep going looking for census, because I'm looking for his parents. And a lot of times we will take care of our parents. As children, they take care of their parents. So sometimes in the census, you will see that it had mother, like it did on the other one, the Carrie Pearson, and they had their mother living in the house because she was older and they were taking care of the mother. So that very well could be the case here, but it's not necessarily likely. Here we go. A U.S. grave. Augustus Van Buren from Georgia. Remember we identified that that he was from Georgia and that we were going to keep it. And so I believe, let's see, Augusta Van Buren. I believe that is the same person. And we're going to open another tab. I love tabs. And we're going to go to Augusta. Because he had a son named Augustus Van, 1893. And this is 1863. I have reason to believe that is the same person, because they are estimating 1863 as a birth, and we have June 1863 from Georgia, Jackson County, Georgia. So I believe that that is the same person. So we are going to adopt that as the same person. Go ahead and take those records that he died in 1939, which would be the reason why we can't find him in 1940. And okay, so with that, we could, there's always a little pop-up that shows which record you just looked at. Let's see. So with that, we could look at Find a Grave to see if there's a bio. Back here, it said it did not have a bio. A lot of times I click on it just to see. So when I did click on this, we had a photo. Someone loaded a photo, and it says Augustus. He was a railroad worker for 24 years, buried, funeral. Ooh, that is pretty small. Let's see. He was employed by the Santa Fe Railroad. He died on February 27th in Topeka. Strickland last October was unable to observe the 5th anniversary celebration of his marriage. And probably said 50th. He was born in Jackson County, Georgia, 1863, in Argentine, where he had lived a number of years. He was a member of the AME Zion Church, and he had served as a treasurer, trustee, and clerk among survivors. Now this is gold. Carrie Strickland of the home. This is back when they had the addresses. 1633 South 37th Street. 3 daughters. Hey, Cassie Bothrop. Perfect. Wait. We already knew that. Yeah, Cassie Bothrop. We already knew that. But what I am going to do, Agustus Van Buren. Oh wait, it was already there. We knew that already. We already extracted that. It's okay to save it twice. It's nothing, no harm, no foul. But what I do want to do is take this picture, and let's see, if we click on view original. Okay, it downloaded it for us. Awesome. So what I want to do is take that picture, upload it. It should be at the top of my downloads folder. And I saw something download. Sometimes it takes too long, so you can just press open, and that is definitely not it. Okay, well, let's try that again. What? What? That's not what I'm doing. Okay, this is not doing what it's supposed to do. And that's all I was trying to do. I don't know where it went. Okay. I am not sure where it went. It looks like it went to my downloads folder. I'm just going to drag and drop it there. There we go. And we're going to consider that done. Is it loading? There we go. Done. Alright, so now that it's there, we can view it bigger, hopefully. Well, there's a plus button. It's a little bit bigger. Kathy Irene Lovato of Chicago. 2 sons, Van Roosevelt. Now, this is where I need to make sure I am following along. And it looks like okay. Carrie is the mother. Then we have Cassie Bothert. Remember, she married my first cousin 3 times removed. Miss Irene White. I'm gonna go back. Irina Watkins. Is that what they meant, or is that a different child? Lovato Harris. So because it says Harris, it's obviously a married name. So there's a Lovato, and we're just gonna go add Harris at the end. Now I don't know with that Irina. Maybe she got married again. So I'm gonna put White, and if I'm wrong, I can always just delete it. Let's see. I'm gonna go back and check on her. Of Chicago. So Lovato Harris lives in Chicago. So we can go ahead and add that. So we'll go to Lovato Harris. This is how you get down the rabbit's hole. We started off at Walter, and this is where we are. So we want to go where fax is and click add and select the event type. Well, we know she's living in Chicago, so we're going to find the residence, and I believe that said Chicago. Yes, Chicago. Just checking. And I don't know when she was there, but I do know she lives in Chicago. And so what that does, that helps Ancestry find records for Lovato in Chicago. Let's see. So we had 2 sons, Van and Roosevelt Strickland of the city, meaning Kansas City. Okay. So we're going to go back to the tree. So we had 2 sons, Augustus Van and Roosevelt J. Okay. And then it says we have a brother, Joe Strickland. All right. Remember, Okay. Wait. Go back. We're getting somewhere. So remind you, we're reading, we are reading Augustus, right? And Augustus, we're still reading what's attached to his profile. And so he has a brother, Joe Strickland of the city. So because we know Augustus has a brother, we can't add a brother unless if they have a parent. So we don't have a mother or father. So if you go to Augustus and you click on add a family, it will not let you add a sibling, because it has to be a sibling of something. Well, because it's a male, I know it's a Strickland. It's a male. He's deceased. And we're going to save. So now we have a father here. So now when we click on add, now we can add a brother or sister because we couldn't before. So now we're going to add a brother, and it said his name was Joe. That's all the information I got. I know it's a male. He's deceased. Unknown to a Strickland. Let's save that. Okay. And now we're going to go back, and it said he also had 2 sisters. Nancy Palmer of Georgia. So we're going to go back, and we're going to add a sister. And her name was Nancy Palmer. That's it. She's deceased. Of Georgia. Yes, we can add that, but I'm going to remember that. And Miss Sarah Powell of Oklahoma. Oh boy, we got lots of family in Oklahoma with the last name Powell. So let's see. So he also had a sister named Sarah. Say R-A-H. Powell. W-E-L-L. Of Oklahoma. Let's see, what else can this tell me? 7 grandchildren, a host of other relatives, burials at Shawnee. Okay, that was perfect. That gave us a lot of good stuff. And so we have this open. Okay, so this is on Find a Grave. Perfect. So all of that information came from Find a Grave. Beautiful. And so we pretty much have the same tabs open. I can close one, even though I love tabs. We're going to go in the tree and see what happens. So we have his father as a Strickland. And a lot of times once they pick a name, they just kind of go with the name. So there's probably the reason why Harold's middle name was Joseph, because he was probably a Joe Strickland. He was probably a Joseph, even though they called him Joe. I don't know that for sure, so I haven't changed that. And I believe this is probably a good stopping point. I know that I never want to stop until I actually figure out the connection. But we are a lot closer because that's 1865. Oh, there's John, 1865. And then there's Joe. He's in 1863. So the children were born practically 2 years apart. Everyone in history, not everyone, but a lot of times in history, if you follow the birth pattern, they're all about 2 years apart, 2.5 years. Sometimes there's a 5-year gap, but most of the time they did it back to back. Where there's even like an 11 months apart, 18 months apart, where they're literal months apart versus years. So with that being said, we are closer. We found out how to continuously look for the census, how to add more keywords to trigger the searches. We found out that names are common. They use the same names a lot. And sometimes kids move out, and so that's that. And of course, we generated lots of hints, which we will get into next time. But I think that is a really good stopping point. A lot of times, so this is a floating tree because it's not tied to anything. And I know it floats or I consider it a floating tree because it's not tied directly to my rich family tree. It is, but the difference is there's no connection here. It doesn't tell me how we're related. That means it's floating. This tree is not floating because Clarence Balthrop is my first cousin, 3 times removed. So his wife, it will say that his wife is the first cousin, 3 times removed. I'm sorry, she is the wife of my first cousin, 3 times removed. That means it's connected to my tree and it generates a relationship. So, with that being said, I believe that is a really great stopping point. And I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Dignified Descendants. Thank you.